Welcome back to the channel. This is Nicholas from Moralis, and this is episode number 4 of our tutorial series where we are going through how we can use the aggregate pipeline when making queries using Moralis. In the previous episode, we considered how we can use the lookup feature to join information from related tables. And in this episode, we're going to see how we can extract only the columns that we are interested in. So if we go to our cloud functions here from the previous episode, maybe we can move our comments here from the previous, move this up here, for example, because this is the step that gets the information about the item. Maybe we can make it look a little bit more tidy, and this is the one that brings information from the user. And now we only want to return values that we are interested in, because now we're actually returning some sensitive data to the user, and we don't want to do that because now maybe we provide information that we don't want to display. So to fix this, we can use another step in the aggregate pipeline, namely the project. And this is similar to a select, where we only select which of the columns that we want to end up after this pipeline has filtered, this step has filtered. So in the project, you see here the syntax on how to do it. So let's copy this step in this pipeline to our pipeline here. You can put it first, don't forget the comma, and then we paste it here. So now we're using the project step, and the project step takes an object which contains the names of the columns that you want to end up with. And a 1 means yes, a 0 means no. So this is kind of like true and false. So if we select, for example, if we want to select the asking price from this table, for example, we have the asking price column. If we would only want to return that, we would do asking price and then set a 1. And then everything else will default to 0, except the ID. And you will see that in a second. But let's say that we only have this. Then we save the file. And remember that in the previous episode, we brought extra information into our object. But now, in the last step, we're telling it to ignore it. We only want the asking price. So if we call this here, we get 9 items back, but inside we only get the asking price and the ID. If we want to hide the ID, you can do that by specifying underscore ID colon and then 0, as in false. No, we don't want to display this one. So if we save here and run this again, then we will only get the asking price. So let's call this and look, now we only have the asking price. Perfect. So let's bring in some more columns or more information to our result here. So let's go back to our cloud function, and then maybe we want to display when this was sold. So we can use the block timestamp. So then we can go here and then we can say, okay, block underline timestamp. This one we want, so we say 1. This is a yes. And then maybe we want to bring the username from the user. And when you want to bring nested items, you can use dot notation. This is one way of doing it. You can read more in the Mongo documentation, but let's say that we call this new owner. This is the name of the sub object. So let's do new owner dot username. This is the column in the user table. So we say, okay, we want the username. And then maybe we want from the item for sale item that we specified. And this also must be colon 1. Okay. And then we want the items for sale dot the token ID So we say :1. Yes, this one we want. And also the item for sale dot token address. And this one we also say, oops, 1. So now we've specified only the tables and only the columns that we want to return to the user at the end of this step in this pipeline that we are aggregating. So if we save this now, we'll see how beautiful it looks when we get the results. So let's call this now. And now we get 9 items back as usual. But if we open it up, we see the asking price, we see the block timestamp, we see the item for sale, and inside we only see the token address and the token ID. And for the new owner, the user, we only get the username. So this is a good way where you can limit the amount of information that you either return to the user or that you keep working on in the cloud function after you've executed this query. In the next part of this series, we will consider how we can use this group step in our pipeline. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you understood how we can really use the project to only select the columns that we are interested in. So see you guys in the next part.